knew something was wrong the moment the library lights flickered in a perfect rhythmic pattern. 3 long pulses, too short, as if answering a question I hadn't asked. It was nearly 2 a.m. The math wing of the university library was empty, and the only sound was the old HVAC groaning through the vents. When my laptop camera light switched on by itself and stayed fixed on me, I felt a cold throb deep behind my ribs. Sent by Javier R., Salem, Oregon. I'm a quiet person, the type who keeps his head down and tries not to bother anyone. That night, I was pulling an all-nighter for my engineering exam. The third-floor study room is usually packed, but a storm had rolled in earlier, and campus security had announced the library would close early. I didn't hear them. I had noise-canceling headphones on, the kind that shut out everything but your own heartbeat. By the time I realized everyone was gone, the main doors had already been locked. It didn't bother me at first. I'd been trapped in the library before, and security always checked floors around 3 a.m. But then my laptop screen glitched, just a brief warping of pixels, and the video window opened on its own. It wasn't the normal camera interface. It was a mirror, a live reflection of me. Except the angle was slightly off. The me in the feed was turned a few degrees more toward the camera than I actually was. His eyes were too aligned, too directly focused. When I blinked, he didn't. I thought it was lag, so I waved my hand. My reflection followed the motion, but half a second late. And then it grinned, slow, too slow, like it was learning how to copy the muscles one at a time. I slammed the laptop shut. That's when the monitors across the room lit up in the same instant. One by one, the dormant computers booted to the login screen. Then the screens all went white, the same shade, the same brightness. I watched them flicker in that same 3 long, 2 short rhythm the lights made earlier, like they were talking to each other. I backed away, feeling the pressure of isolation tightening around me. When I tried calling campus security, my phone didn't even ring. It just opened the camera app, front-facing, showing me again. But this reflection was worse. The face on the screen wasn't sitting how I was. My head was slightly tilted in real life, but the reflections was perfectly upright. Too upright, rigid. Its mouth opened slowly, soundlessly, like it was about to imitate speech. I threw the phone on the table. The library felt wrong now, like it was bracing, leaning in toward me. Every reflective surface, screens, windows, chrome handles, felt like eyes. There was a rule I didn't understand yet, but I could feel it forming. I decided to get to the stairwell, 3 flights down. Security office on the 1st floor. Easy. The moment I stepped into the hallway, every glass-framed emergency map showed a warped version of the floor plan. My location dot was wrong. It wasn't marked where I stood. It was marked 5 feet behind me. Then it moved. The dot began drifting toward me on the map, keeping pace with my steps even though nothing was behind me when I turned. I walked faster. The dot sped up. I didn't dare run yet. My mind told me if I acknowledged the fear too strongly, it would escalate. That became the first rule I learned. It only moves when your fear spikes. As long as I breathed slow, kept my thoughts steady, the dot on the map trailed me at a manageable pace. But when I let the panic spike, just once, when I thought I heard footsteps behind me, the dot jerked forward a full hallway's length. That was the restriction. It cannot move on its own. It moves through your reactions. I forced myself to stay calm enough to progress down the hallway, but the building itself seemed to react to my efforts. Doors that should have been open were locked. Elevators were stuck on the basement level. The fire exit blocked itself with its own bar, refusing to push in. I felt the isolation squeeze tighter, not because I was alone, but because anyone I called would never believe this. It was too insane, too impossible to explain without sounding unstable. Psychological isolation. Halfway down the stairs, a high-pitched clicking echoed through the stairwell. A rhythmic tick-tick-tick-tick-tick, as if someone's teeth were tapping together too fast to be natural. The signature sound. It was coming from below. The clicking grew louder, echoing through the metal handrails, vibrating the air. I clamped a hand over my mouth to regulate my breathing. I knew it was listening for changes in fear, listening to pull itself closer. I couldn't see it yet, and when I finally did, I almost lost control. On the landing below me was a shape, my height, my clothes. But its limbs were slightly too long, its elbows bent a little too far backward, its head turned in a way the human spine wouldn't allow, rotating like a ball joint being adjusted. Its face looked like me, but the expression was entirely wrong. The eyes were too focused, too intent, too aware. It clicked its teeth again. Every reflective surface behind it showed versions of me, but each reflection had a different expression. A smile in one, a flat stare in another, a grimace, a half-open mouth, like it couldn't decide which version was correct. And then the escalation began. Escalation rule. The longer it sees you, the more aligned with you it becomes. And once it's aligned, it can replace you. I turned away fast, refusing to look at it directly. The clicking sped up, like frustration, like it couldn't finish syncing with me without eye contact. My hands shook. I whispered a grounding technique under my breath to keep my heart rate steady. If I panicked, it would move faster. On the second-floor landing, I ducked into the study lounge. Rows of monitors flashed awake instantly, all white-screened. I turned one around to face the window so I wouldn't accidentally look into a reflection. Something flickered behind me on the screen, but I refused to check. In that moment, my panic almost won. And that's when I remembered something stupid but helpful. A survival moment from a video I once watched. So I said it out loud to force myself into control. If you're enjoying these true horror stories, make sure to subscribe to Ultra Spooky and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we upload new nightmares. Saying something absurd grounded me. It steadied my breathing, and the clicking downstairs paused, just long enough for me to slip out. I made it to the first floor. Security office locked, lights off. The big wall-mounted TV in the lounge flickered on by itself, showing the lobby cams. Every angle was empty except one, the camera that faced the stairwell door. Something stood behind that glass pane. At first I thought it was me. Same hoodie, same backpack, same posture. But the face was wrong. It was smiling too wide, like it had been practicing and still hadn't nailed it. The cheeks were lifted too high, the jaw too stiff. I looked at the door without meaning to. The thing raised its hand slowly. My hand, but wrong. It tapped the glass once with a single sharp knuckle. Tick. The sound vibrated through the lobby like a tuning fork struck close to your ear. Every monitor in the room glitched, distorting my reflection into silhouettes of me. Each silhouette tilted its head differently, like dozens of possible versions lining up to decide which one they'd become. The tapping intensified. Tick, 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 tick. My heart spiked. I couldn't stop it. I backed away, and the knock on the glass became a slam, exactly synced with my movement delay, like the laptop reflection from earlier. And then the door handle started to turn. Slow, too slow. I ran. I didn't care about rules anymore. I sprinted through the lobby toward the emergency exit. The clicking followed. Loud now, so loud it drowned out everything except my own ragged breath. My fear was feeding it. I could hear it gaining on me. Every reflective surface around me, metal, glass, polished tile, warped into versions of my face. When I burst through the exit, the cold wind of the storm hit me hard. The door slammed shut behind me, and the clicking stopped instantly. Whatever it was, it couldn't leave the building. I stumbled across the courtyard, half laughing, half crying. I didn't stop until I reached the dorms. I convinced myself I'd imagined everything, that stress and exhaustion had blended into some kind of lucid nightmare. But that was 2 weeks ago, and now every reflective surface in my apartment has begun glitching at random. My laptop camera light turns on at night. My phone opens its front-facing camera by itself. And last night, in the reflection of my microwave door, I saw myself standing too straight, too still, smiling like it had finally learned how. This was just one of many terrifying true stories from the Ultra Spooky archives. Stay tuned for our next tale of horror.